Satori here, and in a few moments I will be speaking in my normal voice, which is a lot louder, much louder than the ASMR voice that you've come to get comfortable with. And the reason that I decided to create this warning before I started talking is because this video, an update video, is actually on our main channel rather than the side channel, Karuna Satori Basic, where updates are usually posted. So, without further ado, welcome back. So, today's video is going to be a long overdue, long video, which is an update video, and I have a bunch of things I'd like to talk to you guys about. And the reason that this isn't on my side channel is because there's so much to talk about that, regards you guys as well, especially with the future of the channel and things like that and where things are going. But some of the stuff, little petty things that I may talk about here, they're little drama, things, those usually belong on Karuna Basic. But like I said, there's so much chit-chat to talk about, important things, not important things, where things have been going, where things have been, where things have gone, whatever, that I was like, okay, I'm just going to put this on our main channel, that way everybody who cares can, come and watch here. So obviously the title's not going to say ASMR on it, but just in case you were a little bit sleepy watching one video had autoplay on and it came to this, I wanted to warn you beforehand. So hopefully you're not just waking up to me like blah 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 wow. I think it's SpongeBob. Like my husband, every time like we drive or like I'm driving, like I try to avoid potholes all the time. Ooh, I said that really weird, my retainer, but I always try to avoid potholes, and he's just like, he always like imitates like la la la, because it's like SpongeBob whenever he's in driving school. Apparently that's how I drive. But so let's see. I don't know how, like, up to date all of you are on, like, where my life has been or, like, what has been my past or future or anything like that, because we've had so many new family members. But just to give anybody a little bit of a background, my real name is Sarah. I come from a town. I no longer live in the town of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I have a very, very poor past, and whenever I say poor, I mean like very bad decisions, very, people know me. Sorry about that, I'm waiting on a text from my landlord, and we'll get into that soon, but very, very bad decisions I've made in my past. I am an addict. I am not still, I'm going to turn that off. I'm not still an addict. Once an addict, always an addict, but I'm not currently using. I'm not in an active addiction. Let's see, I lost my children at one point. I was a very, very bad mother in the year of 2014 to 2015. There's been a lot that's like gone on in my life that's very, very bad regarding my past. And the reason I'm so open about my past is because I know that I'm a changed person. I know that the decisions that I've made back when do not reflect on who I am today, because I've stood up and made changes for myself. Usually you'll find people, especially addicts, who make changes for other people and then find themselves using in the future because they made those choices to get clean, not for themselves, but for other people. And you'll find in life that the only time that you can truly change is when you decide to get up and do something about it. So I'm very open about the things that I've done in my past. Very, very bad person. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect person now. I still do things that are very questionable and, just bad choices and things like that, but I'm nowhere near the person I used to be. The state of Pennsylvania returned my children after losing them after 2 years of trying to get them back. The state of Pennsylvania rarely returns children to their custodial parents, I think that's the word, especially, after that long. Like usually it's a 6 month program / period that is in between whenever CYS comes and takes children out of their custody. If you would like more information on that and how I lost my children, I actually did a small video about that, and if you guys would like a more in-depth video, maybe with the allegations and things like that, I see that some allegations are still circulating the internet, and one specific one that is so outlandish and not true that I haven't been able to address it. And I know the people who have been posting those allegations are watching this video right now, and we'll get into that after a bit. But that is pretty much like a background story of me. I've just had a very bad past, especially as an addict and, things like that. I've hurt a lot of people. I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of, but I'm very open about to this day, like I said, because your past does not reflect the person you are today as long as you're making positive changes and choices in your life. So if anybody ever tries to come at you, for doing something or other, unless it's like, something, dramatic, but you get where I'm coming from. Every passing moment is another chance to turn it all around. I want you to know that right now. So, in the past, let's see, year, most of you who have been here for a very long time know that, I've moved twice in a year and a half, and this is our third time moving. We finally moved out of the area. It's been a long, long time. The only reason that we moved this time was because we had very, very bad issues with a girl who lived above us at our previous address. And actually, that girl is, we're dealing with legal stuff right now with her. Our lawyer recently just sent a cease and desist letter to her, and she is not stopping what she has started. And I've lost a lot of money and loss of sleep and things like that. So we are going the legal route with it, but I can still talk to you about some of the stuff in the future. That is why I keep all of the dramatic stuff on our side channel. That is because it doesn't belong here in our safe space. This ASMR channel is a safe space for us to talk and be, ourselves and not worry about drama and not worry about work and 9 to 5 and not worry about all kinds of things. But like I said, yes, so right now we recently just moved, some positive things that are going with the channel and things like that. We finally moved out of the area. Our landlords are probably the coolest people that you'll ever meet. We talk to them every day. I'd like to consider us friends, but, we both are aware of you never really get close to business. You know what I mean? Like, don't mix business with pleasure and things like that. But our landlords, are incredible. They have been there for us emotionally, physically, everything like that. They're just great. I'll actually include some of their businesses down below if you would like to, if you're in the area of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. They have rentals everywhere, and thankfully, recently, one place that they had opened up, and we actually stuck with the same people. So they've been at our house for the past week, doing renovations and things like that. They're the type of people that anytime you need something, just whether it just be like, hey, can you drop off this or something on your way, or if you're passing through the area, can you stop and fix this? They're there in an instant. So we're really excited to still be renting off of them. And our family plan is next year, hopefully we can take out a mortgage and get our own home. And it's going to be outside of the area in the woods, somewhere really far away. I've come to truly appreciate the quietness that I once hated so very, very badly because of just being lonely as a teenager and things like that. So we recently moved. As you guys may or may have not known, I drove a very crappy car for the past year. Now, the car is a 2003 Monte Carlo. It's a beautiful running car, even though it had problems whenever we bought it. If you guys are interested in hearing that story, I'll have it down below, everything I link. So we got rid of, we didn't get rid of that car, but what happened was we bought the car and it was told that it was a family car. There was nothing wrong with it when we bought it. There were 2 head gasket leaks. The transmission completely needed rebuild. There's thousands of dollars put into that little beater car, but it's run us for a full year after fixing it. It barely ran at all when we got it. So recently, I do not have credit. I am just the person who never did anything with credit. I never, when I was younger, I used to sign up for all those CDs. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? If you guys are from like the 90s, 80s, whatever, the little, pamphlets that like would come and it'd be like 10 free CDs, sign up now.
And like me as like a 9-year-old, I'd sign up like as my parents' name, and I'd be like, check, 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 Nickelback, Avril Lavigne, Stained, like yes. And I'd get sent all these CDs. And my mom was like, that's gonna affect your credit when you're older. When it doesn't, it didn't. But you know what I mean? Like we were all young and stupid, and I never understood credit. I was like, it's not gonna affect my credit. I'm a very impulsive person, so the things that I think or I talk about now, like that I did back when, I'm thinking back like what did I do and why did I do that? But yeah, so I didn't have any credit, so we were thinking of getting a new car because the Mani right now, like it's fine, there's nothing really wrong with it, but the body of it, like it's rusting around the tires. It barely passed inspection, but it did. It's inspected. But it's not going to be a family car. So recently I went out and I was like, okay, so does Victor, my husband, want to take the car out? Because he has adequate credit. Like his credit's pretty good. Mine's, I just don't have any. Like whenever the banks go in, they see my income and they see that it's a decent income, but whenever they see that I've never established credit, they're not willing to give a loan. So I went to it's kind of like a national lender kind of place, Signature Auto Drive of Altoona, Pennsylvania, and they always say yes to you unless you've ever had like a repossessed car or like severely bad credit. But ultimately, and they were great. Like I am promoting kind of their business because we brought our kids there. We were there for like 4.5 hours because I was just driving around cars like all day, and the kids were in there. They have a nice little play place. They're a family run business, and they bought pizza for the kids. Like they sat and played with the kids while they showed me cars. Like, you know, Vic was having fun talking to the guys. Like they're really cool people. So if you guys like ever have gotten a car from there, if you're from Altoona, PA, I've noticed a lot of our family members recently have been coming from my hometown, Johnstown, because I got these like funny little stickers on the back of the car. I'll actually show you guys a picture of that right now. Well, here, I have an idea. My neighbor who lived upstairs was actually taking photos of me without my knowledge. Like she was just completely basically stalking every single little thing that I have done and ever done because we lived right above one another, and our landlord was very aware of this. I'll get into this situation later. But anyway, here's one of the photos that she took of me. Took of my car right outside her window. But you can see the stickers that I have on the back of my car, so. Yeah, it says Karuna Satori ASMR, and if you guys have ever watched, like Dr. Steve Brule from Tim and Eric's awesome show, he's like, it's for your health. He's like, come on, dummy, just... It's John C. Reilly. He's a really, really cool, awesome actor. One of my favorite movies that he's in is Gangs of New York and Walk Hard, because both of those movies, like Walk Hard, is a very humorous movie, but he started out as a very, very serious actor, which makes it even better that, you know, he, you know, variated his roles in different movies, and I think that's really cool and really respectable because, you know, certain actors and actresses, they just stick to one type of acting, and he expanded his so far, and I really like that. But anyway, we were at the mall, my friend Jason and I. Now, Jason, if you've heard of him, I've spoken a lot about him on our channel. I've talked about maybe even bringing him in for a Dunkin' Donuts roleplay, and he's into it, but he's not into getting up at 5:30 in the morning. So basically, Jason and I went to the mall because we were shopping for the new house, and Jason grew up with Victor, so they're very close friends. He actually knows the neighbor that lived above us, and like I said, that's a whole nother story. But I'm friends with an old boss of mine. His name is Juan. Well, his name is actually Mirando, but like he goes by like Mario Juan. He's just like some weird, and he's hilarious. Like he's probably watching this right now, but he does like screen printing and stuff. And I was like, you know, I'd like to get the channel out there. So we went and I was thinking like, okay, so I'll put Karuna Satori ASMR and then the link. And then I was like, but I need like a quote or something, like make it sound like a plumbing business or something. So I don't know what came in my head, but I was like, for your tingles. And then I was like, it's for your health. Like, but it's funny. I thought it was really cute, a really cute idea. It's on the old car now, which is the Mani. We recently got the new car from Signature Auto Drive. We came up with, well, finally we came down to, because there was so many cars, but it was like my down deposit and then my monthly payments and then the fact that I'm going to need insured in 2 cars and blah, 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 blah. All kinds of adult stuff that I'm 27 years old and just recently finally starting to understand, one being credit. So here is my new car. It is a 2014 Chevy Cruze. It has like 40,000 miles on it. I'm not sure the exact mileage. It is used, but I mean, it was very cheap, especially for my down payment. Paid off a lot of it, but it definitely fits me. I think it's an adorable car. Like, it's just like a tiny little sports car. It's a family car, and it, for some reason, like, do you know how, like, if you own a car, like, I know a lot of our viewers are younger and everything like that, like, but did you, like, if you're, you know, in the 16 and your family just got you your first car, or you've been driving forever now, like our older viewers and family members, whatever, if you noticed, like, your car eventually becomes you. Like, the energy that holds in that car is like the energy that's inside you. I don't know how to explain it. I always have these weird thoughts, but when I was test driving cars, there was another car that I wanted. It was a Nissan GT. I have no idea, but it was beautiful and it was way too expensive. And I was just like, ugh, like, I can't afford that. Like, I can't afford these payments. But it was so awesome. And I was like, this fits me. But it didn't, like, it didn't click. But whenever I got into the Chevy, I was like, I need this car. Like, I need it. And it was just like right there with the payments I can afford and everything like that. And it's finally going to establish me credit. Like, they report to all 3 credit bureaus, you know what I mean, when I make car payments. And I was told to build credit, like, to add a little bit more on the payment each month. So if you guys have any information on how I can, like, improve my credit with this, please let me know down below. Like, I've never, you know, I've applied for credit cards and I do have one credit card, but the credit card, you have you have to put a down payment on the card, and that's what I did. I put $200 into the card to get $200 of credit. So that's how I'm establishing my credit. Is basically, it's like a debit card, but, you know, you add the money into it and it gives you a line of credit, but it helps your credit. Freaking credit. Okay. So, moving on. We got a car. We moved out of the area. I will not be, obviously disclosing that location, but we are in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. There is no noise, no nothing, and I am so happy to be out of that. So anyway, I still will be filming at my mother's house. We do have a studio that we're building, technically. We asked our landlord, we're going to be putting, like, wood up, and we're building a rock wall in our daughter's room. Like, we got these, what do you call those things? The rock climbing rocks, and then we're, like, installing them in the wall so the kids can, and we have, like, an old futon mattress below it so the kids can climb up the wall. Like, we are just, it's gonna be awesome. So Victor, my husband, also started his channel, and I cannot watch when he plays guitar. Like, when we're at home, like, he goes into another room to play guitar unless I'm, like, really emotional. I bawl every time he plays guitar. I don't know what it is. I've always done this. Acoustic music, just, that is why I don't even listen to music. Like, I do in the morning times, and that is it. I listen to music on my way to work. I consider, you know, filming and stuff work because obviously I have an income coming from it, but it's also my entire life. But I consider it whenever I'm driving in the morning. That is the only time I listen to music. And when I hear music elsewhere, I'm just like, the reason for that is because I just attach emotion to music so enhanced, probably more than other people, and it's crazy. Like, here is a clip of my husband. He just started his channel back up. I'll link it on the clip, but here is a clip of my husband playing guitar, and I am not listening to it. I'm just gonna add the clip because I already have it cut. So it's so pretty, and I don't know what it is, and like watching somebody you have such a connection to play music that beautiful, it just makes me bawl my eyes out. Like the other night he's like, can you check out my new ASMR video for me? And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like listening to it, and immediately like tears. I'm just like, this is so pretty. Like, but it's kind of sad. Like, I don't know, I always relate it to situations, and I'm thinking like in that clip, I'm like, okay, I relate this to a time when I was younger, and you know what I mean. But he's an amazing guitar player. He used to be actually a very known musician in California, but now, you know, he moved home. He was also addicted to drugs very, very bad, and it just, you know, it kind of, I don't know if you want to call it escalated or decreased. What's the word? I'm horrible at grammar. I'm horrible with my words. I'm horrible, blah, 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 fucking blah. So, moving on. But he started his channel, if you guys want to check him out, Essence of ASMR, and I don't mean this in a bad way because I'll talk about my Patreon later, but one of the biggest things that Victor has on his channel is he is just loved by gay men, and I love it. I'm just like, yes, comment. It's so awkward for him because he's like, this is not, like, he's so polite, and he's like, thank you, but I'm married and things like that, and even though we're in an open relationship, but he's not bisexual or anything, but I am, and that's why I'm all about it. I'm like, look, Victor, like, and he's like, that's very sweet, Sarah, but, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. But anyway, so if you guys would like a male, you know, more deeper voice in ASMR, that is definitely a channel to check out. He does a lot of hypnosis, mind manipulating, and things like that. He's very, very educated in that respect. But anyway, so let's see. We switched our son and daughter's school. My son no longer goes to, we used to live in Windber. My P.O. box is about to change as well. I'm going to put it in an area that's kind of close, but I am just so fed up with that whole thing. Like, I've had so many things happen with people knowing where I lived. I've learned this lesson over and over. But recently with the whole neighbor upstairs, man, that was the icing on the cake. I thought that the girl that I had problems with before, if you guys remember, I was having issues with a girl at the methadone clinic. You guys, like, it's so, like, trashy. Like, it is so trashy. But like, that's the thing. That's the beauty of it, is I'm human, just like you're human, just like your neighbor's human, just like the psycho emo neighbor that used to live above me is human. We all have our own fucking problems. We all have our own past and things like that. And the things that come from that, like, we look at it and we're like, wow, that's really immature. Wow, this looks like the stuff you see on like World Star. Wow. It's like, absolutely. And that is the stuff that I've dealt with, especially, and a lot of it's come from the methadone clinic. So, little backstory. This is why I said this video is going to be so long. I was 15 when I tried my first drug, 17 when I started getting into an active addiction of like Oxycontin, heroin, things like that. I was not an IV user, and heroin was very sparse. I used oxycodone. That was my drug of choice. But as you become an addict and you have an addictive personality, my whole family comes from addiction. My mom's sister unfortunately passed away of addiction. My brother is addicted to gambling, or was, you know what I mean? Like, my mother was addicted to things that it's not my place to say back when, but, you know, she's not anymore. A year ago, she just had her open heart surgery, and her whole life has changed. But everybody in our family is a very addictive person, and so with addiction, if I say that word one more time, comes a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of impulsiveness. And so although Oxycontin was my drug of choice, you know, I would still use a lot of other drugs, psychedelics, marijuana, which, I mean, psychedelics and marijuana I have very different opinions on regarding drug, quote, category, whatever. And yeah, so I did a lot of stuff, and after, I think it was in 2011 when my addiction was finally coming to a tiring end in regards to being active with it. My father was a drug and alcohol counselor when he was alive. He, you know, on my Snapchat, if you guys follow it, if not, all of my information is down below. I posted the other day some letters that my father's patients wrote for him whenever he passed away, and he was very known in the addiction community in regards to the person that helped save their lives or help them change for themselves and not other people. And that's one thing my father really taught very well, is to, change for yourself and not for anybody else. Like, you need to do things for yourself. So, basically, if I say that word, I know I say these words a lot. Like, I'm just trying to get these words out and get them out quick because there's so much to talk about. So, my father would tell me all the time, because he actually worked at the local methadone clinic as well. Like, he was a counselor, he was the director, and he also would switch back and forth as the director of the methadone clinic, things like that, in the area. And not ours in Johnstown, was in Altoona, but he worked in Johnstown. So he would always tell me, he's like, I know, he's like, these rehabs aren't helping you. I was in and out of rehabs, but okay, so any addict, if you're familiar with any addiction in your family, which I'm sure most of you are, it's so rampant nowadays, and you'll notice that no matter how hard you try to change those people, like how hard the parents try to change their child who's an addict, even somebody who works in addiction and things like that, it just doesn't happen. It's impossible. It is impossible because an addict will not change until the addict wants to change. Like, it's a very simple concept, and as much as you try with all of your heart, you're like, but I know them. I know that they'll listen to me because I'm their closest to them. It's just not going to happen. I am sorry, and my best advice is tough love. When I realized, like, obviously I went on methadone, I took the easy way out, and so many consequences came from that choice. That I'll get into that in a moment, but basically it was only when my family stopped enabling me and I had to work harder to get money to buy drugs. I wasn't stealing off my parents anymore because they finally started locking their doors. I wasn't able to find rides to pick up drugs anymore because my parents and family stopped answering their phones. And my friends who were getting clean didn't want anything to do with me because I still continued to be an addict. Tough love is the best choice to do for your family. And you think to yourself, well, what if they die tomorrow? You're absolutely right. What if they do? But would you rather take that chance and saying, you know what? I'm not enabling you anymore. It is time for me to shut the door on helping you live this addiction that's killing you. In my opinion, if my son became an addict, obviously in my heart, I know deep down, I would do everything in my power to find the right choices to help him. I wouldn't be giving him money. I wouldn't be, giving him rides to go pick up drugs. Because I know a lot of parents do that and they don't do it because, they don't understand. And they feel like they're helping them by keeping them, comfortable. And because, when an addict's on pills and things like that, he's comfortable. He's not angry. He's not acting out. But the first time they go through withdrawal, their mood changes and it causes a lot of inconvenience for the family. And that's why addiction is just so devastating and things like that. But ultimately, my best opinion is tough love and to stop enabling your child or your friend or whoever's in an active addiction. Say, enough is enough. We need you to start understanding that it's time to change. But if they don't want to change, if they say, if you try to give them the promise you're allowed to come back home if you go to detox, that means shit. Give them a week and they'll be out. Detox is not rehab. Detox is part of rehab. It is a 3 to 7 to sometimes 2-week program where you sit in a room and literally the toxins are coming out of your body. You go through severe withdrawal. You're monitored under nursing. Like, trust me, I've been through it 1,000 times. So, but anyway, the methadone clinic, drama, things like that. A lot of petty drama comes from addiction, and that is one thing that happened to me and everybody else. I went into the methadone clinic and things like that. I've been there for several years. It is said that methadone is only a 2-year program minimum. Now, or maximum, I do believe. And they start you off at 30 milligrams. They go up. My highest was 160 something milligrams when I was pregnant with my daughter. My father died a month before my daughter was due to be born. Then I had my daughter 2 weeks early due to the stress and everything like that. Both of my children were born addicted to methadone. Both of my children suffered the withdrawal. Yes, it is a very devastating thing to say. I have said it a million times though, so it's kind of just part of my past now. And after that, they were taken away from me because of my choices. They have lived a very early, pretty bad life at that time. But like I said, when I made those choices to change myself is when everything in my world changed. I got my kids back. But in the time that they were taken, the two families, they were with three families, one being my mother-in-law. They were removed from her care for a lot of reasons. She has a lot of mental health issues. She's a very sick, mentally and physically human being. It's a very sad story, and I have actually a video on my YouNow that will always be there. It is of an account of my husband talking about when he was a child and all the horrible things that my mother-in-law was doing to him. And you can also find that, what am I looking for here? That is pretty much what she did to my children in the small, short time that they were with her. But they lived a great childhood in those 2 years. They went to Disney World. They were outside constantly. They had a great life. So it's not like they left to suffer. But unfortunately with me, I never, physically hurt them or tried to hurt them and things like that. But I neglected them in the respect that in the times that I should have been holding my child was sitting in the crib. And they were always fed, they were always, cared, but the house we lived in was very dirty. It was just not good. It was not a good time for me. And this had nothing to do with my husband. My husband was a great father. He was always there. But basically the ultimatum the day that my children were taken was my husband and I got into a physical altercation. The kids were in the house. We were in the bedroom, and the cops were called. When they came, they seen the house conditions, very dirty. My husband was working 12-hour days. It was my fault. Nothing to do with my husband. Now, my husband tried to take the kids, and they offered him the kids, but with the police charges that were filed, the restrictions were either you can stay with her, or you'll lose your kids, or you can go live with your mother, but the kids are going to basically be in your mother's care at this time, and you can sue for custody, but would not be involved. And it's pretty much, he took the decision. He moved in with his mom for a while, for a couple months, and everybody just left me. And that is whenever, it took a while to change and things like that. So that is pretty much how I lost my kids. Now with addiction, what I was getting at is it took several years for me to even start detoxing off methadone. I am now on 6 milligrams of methadone. I am almost off of it. I am extremely excited to be off of it. Now, if you guys have followed me for a while, you're very aware of the things that have happened on methadone. I lost I lost 6 of my teeth. These 4 are fake. One in the back, fake. Right here, this one was $800, fake. It is a crown, or a bridge, I'm sorry. And a bridge is different from the retainer. This is my retainer. It's like if you've had braces, the exact same thing, only it's fake teeth and the holes that were taken out. I lost 4 of my front teeth, 1 of my canine teeth, which are basically considered front teeth, and 1 of my molars in the back. And it's not methadone that eats away at your teeth. Methadone reduces the saliva in your mouth. So that causes a lot more decay. And over the years, when you're on methadone, if you're on such a high dose, you're very lazy. I'm not going to sit here and act and have people come on here and tell me my experience. I've had people come on here on my, side channel and say, oh, well, I was on this high dose, and this hasn't happened to me. It's like, it doesn't matter. It happened to me whenever, and it's happened to a ton of other people. Listen to their accounts, look up their stories on being such on a high dose. You're constantly nodding off. You're not thinking about anybody else. Your mind is just as cloudy as it is on methadone than it is on Oxycontin. The only difference is it's a different high. It prevents you from going to get high on a real drug. Basically, it's a controlled government substance that I don't believe should be legal. In my opinion, it did not save my life. This is my experience. I mean, methadone, I've heard millions of success stories, but it's a very, very rare success story compared to the potentially, I'm not saying that statistic is ridiculous, but maybe 5 success stories to 100 failures. I don't believe in the program, even if you do it right. I'm doing the detox right, but I'm still going through the withdrawal that they told me I would not go through at the clinic. Come to find out elsewhere that methadone withdrawal is the number 1 withdrawal there is. It's severe if you don't do it right. And even that I am doing it right, I'm still definitely going through it. So I am on 6 milligrams now. I was to be off of it in February, and I'm taking my time coming down this low. You guys know about my teeth. You guys remember I was about to lose part of my bowels. This is going to be a little bit of TMI, so trigger warning with poop and stuff like that. I was not using the restroom for weeks at a time. I would wake up with my heart racing, sweating. I could not sit down to use the bathroom. It was so bad. I was in and out of the hospitals constantly. Tons of colonoscopies, tons of detoxes, tons of enemas that did not work. I got brain fog. Come to find out that it was because my bowels were swollen. And whenever your bowels are swollen, it messes with your, whatever you call it, something in the head that makes you like feel very out of it, very cloudy. Now that I'm on such a low dose, my bowels have regulated. I use the restroom once, even twice a day now. Very normal looking stools. It is amazing. It is a great feeling. I can sleep at night like a baby. The sleep that I have sober, I'd like to consider myself, is incredible compared to being on that high of a dose, being constipated all the time, not waking up to brush my teeth because I was lazy and everything like that. My life is completely changed coming off of methadone than it has been getting on it. I think I would rather, obviously I would never go back unless I could like save my dad or something like that, but I would never go back and change the choices I made because they did make me into the person I am today, and I am very blessed to be in the spot I am right now. And that is why I often talk about you guys and why I call it our channel. You guys have given me a life. You guys have given me a house to live in. You guys have helped me just basically have the family that I've always wanted. Number one, my YouTube family, you guys. Number two, my real family. I'm very blessed to be able to make an income off of doing ASMR, and I am very blessed to, have my Patreon and that, and I'll talk about that after a bit. This video is getting kind of long, and I have some other things I want to talk about. I am just very, very blessed. That is why when I speak out to people, I say that I'm speaking to you and just you, because it is so hard for me to watch another ASMR artist. I have a very few who connect to me alone. And if you guys, like I said, want to see a video like that, please let me know. I wanted to do one on basic and things like that. When YouTubers talk out to an audience, it doesn't make me feel very connected. It's whenever YouTubers sit and they talk directly into the camera and say you and we and together, you and I and stuff like that, and talk because they know that collectively, obviously, that is how we make our income and things like that. But when you sit down and you try to get to know the person, I always try to reach out. I always try to answer all my emails. I always give out my personal email. I've given out my number. I've given out tons of stuff because I want to get to know you guys. I do not want you guys to be, just the whole income source money making thing. You guys are what makes YouTubers be able to do what they do. It is you and YouTube as a platform who does all this for us. And that is why I cannot stand whenever other YouTubers get on and they're just like, you guys are mad because of this, and you guys are mad because of this. And it's like they complain and they bite the hand that feeds them. And then those people who were so loyal and so loving to the creator leaves for another person. Appreciate what you have. Be very humble. Realize it could end for you tomorrow. And, that is why I always speak to you as you and call you my family member, because I feel so connected to every single person who joins this channel, who feels safe on our channel, who literally has told me stories that I know deep down that I've experienced that I can relate to, especially with addiction, with losing their children. I've had, mothers come to me saying, I lost my children. How can I get them back? It's a beautiful thing to be able to be open about your mistakes. It's a beautiful thing to embrace the shit that you've gotten yourself into. And it's a beautiful thing to fucking accept that. It's a beautiful thing to be able to say, I lost my children. I am not proud of the things that I did. And, be able to talk about how you changed from that and help the people who are going through those situations right now, you know what I mean, and change. That is where I get into, I have a couple more things I want to talk about. One at the end being I have an album coming out on iTunes. It's just for ASMR listening. It's not. I signed with a company who reached out to me back in September, about October or November of last year, asking me if I was ever interested in putting out music on iTunes so people can listen to ASMR in the car, hopefully not fall asleep and wreck and die. I do not recommend that, probably. So I've never tried it, so I don't know, because I relax. I don't fall asleep for the most part, but I'll talk about that at the end. I'll talk about festival season at the end. I talked about Vic's channel. I talked about methadone, getting off methadone. My Patreon, let's see. Basically, if you guys aren't familiar with my Patreon, I'm going to plug it here real quick. It's not always at the below. 18 plus. I don't do any like exposure to my body or anything, even though somebody leaked my photos back when, and I'll get into all that very soon. The whole dramatic part of this is coming up very soon. But I basically do... There is I don't know if it would be considered a stigma in the ASMR community where people who are unfamiliar and fear what they don't understand always try to attach negativity to something. So there is always the people who don't understand ASMR, and then they say, well, it's a sexual thing. It's like, no, anything can be ASMR. It can be sexual. It can be funny. It can be nasty. It can be gross. It can be this. It can be that. ASMR can be triggered by anything, okay? It can be triggered by, you know, those mating turtles that make the sound. They're like, eh, eh. It's really cute. You know what I mean? It's like ASMR can be triggered by anything. So, but people, there are the groups that say ASMR is nothing but sexual. Now, I've made my Patreon, I would never put that on here, obviously, number one, because all of our family members here, most of us, are younger viewers. My demographic is like 11, like as low as 11 years old, high up into the 70s. That is how, you know, diverse in age that this channel gets, you know, the people who come and join us. And I decided to make a Patreon way back in the whole adpocalypse thing, and I was very honest, like, this is my income in life. If you guys choose to support me, I made a Patreon, I'm doing nothing with it. And then it turned into something that I've always wanted to do, which was basically whenever ASMR and I found out about it, I definitely have a very, very intense sexual side of myself. I'm very open about that, and I very much own up to it. My husband and I are in a very open relationship. I'm bisexual. Consider it, I don't want to say bisexual because that means male and female. I'm pansexual. I'm all about all genders, all, you know, colors, all anything. You know, I've had my past where I've said ignorant things. I'm very open about that too. But the point I'm trying to make is I love my sexuality in regards to sharing it with everyone. It's not based on male. It's not based on female. It's not based on transgender, queer, gay, blah, 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 whatever. So my sexual side is very, very high up. It took me years. It took me because I was raped, I was molested. If you guys want to hear those stories, I have them on this channel. Actually, I can put my like times I almost died, times I've gotten myself into horrible situations, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But basically it was soap poisoning. You guys remember that Christmas story thing? Let's see, where am I going with all this? Oh, my Patreon. Sorry, I like lose what I'm talking about. But I decided to open up my sexuality with ASMR, and you can find that over on my Patreon, which is always linked down below. And it's 18 plus. You pledge $1 and you get 4 videos a month, plus, you know, the occasional live stream and things like that. I don't have tiers. I do not think I'm going to do tiers in the future. Tiers or tears or however you pronounce it. All the content, again, 18 plus only. You need a credit card, and you are charged $1 immediately when you join and at the first of every month. So if you feel like seeing my like more sexual side, please go. I'm very open about myself. You can find more about me over on there. Yeah. So, that's about it. I mean, for those asking about my mother's dog, she is pretty much close. She is almost passed. She was just at the vet yesterday. The past week has been horrible with her. She's finally, like, she's 11 years old, but she's a lab, and labs get old. You can hear right now, actually. You can hear, it's sad. Like, she's choking right now, but she has to cough it up. Like, it's not like we can help her. It's not like we can put water in front of her. Like the vet said, just to let what happens from here on out happen. They have her on pain medication now, finally, that it's just very sad. She's going to pass very soon. You guys have been asking about her because every day I bring her a 6-piece hash brown, and a blueberry munchkin, little munchkin donut thing. Because every morning I wake up, my schedule goes as follows every single day, for the most part, except for days I don't film. I wake up at 3:30 a.m., get ready till 5 a.m., come here at 5:30. Well, now since I've moved, it's a lot longer. I have to get up a little bit earlier to make it to where I need to be because it's a little bit of a drive. Come here. I film from like 6 a.m. now to 8 a.m. I do, answering comments, things like that. And then I'll drive all the way back home, run errands around the area while I'm here, and then drive home and things like that. But every morning that I finally get to my mother's house where I film, she, wakes up, and she was always like into hash browns. So we got her, I started bringing her a hash brown every day. And please don't think that I'm feeding her poor food. Like she's literally on the line to the Rainbow Bridge at this point. So it's like the vet's just like, you do you, and you make her feel as comfortable and loved as she can feel. But this week, she started going to the bathroom all over herself. She has to hop up the stairs. She has cancer in the back of her legs. And, I recently found the gossiping websites that I'm on making fun of my mother's dog dying and things like that. So, yeah, it's disgusting how people, that is why I'm not ever going after the gossiping website itself. I think a lot of that can be very positive if the criticism is taken in a positive way, but it's when people go to literally out of their way to get you off the internet or just go fucking die is pretty much what they're saying. It's, that's whenever it's just complete bullying, and that's where I guess we'll end this video in a way. That's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. We're finally in a house. We are, driving a nice car now. We're nowhere near noise. Let's see. Life's just been pretty chill. I mean, as far as the kids go, keeping them on social media, I've been sharing a little bit here and there for my son's birthday. Victor has a birthday video. I didn't realize the amount of videos that you all sent me. I went down so many and I was just like, oh my God, this is a lot of video, a lot of videos. So I've been putting that all together. But for my daughter's birthday and stuff like that, I'll share a photo of her. It's here and there. The only reason I took my kids off social media is because people from the gossiping website who are actually from my town, if you go on that website and you see the people who aren't from my town, they offer, it's pretty rude, but it's nothing that I can't handle. It's just criticism that's okay, so what can I do to make this better and what can I do? But it's the people who are from my town and won't come in person, except for my neighbor upstairs. I'll give her the balls for admitting, and that's why we're going the legal route, because she admitted that it was her on there, and basically her time is coming. That is why you won't see me making a neighbor part 2 on my side channel. It's pretty much cut off at that until we can get that all situated out. But I'm just kind of letting her dig her own grave on that website, so it's pretty funny. And the other things that she's done, we've had cameras outside her house. Her fiance with the, oh my God, I can't even get into it, has admitted, I'm not even going to go there, what he's admitted to doing. He was in Afghanistan, I believe, for 1 year, and he's definitely had his shots. How's that? With children. And that's all I can say. And the way that he talked about it, about how he wishes he could go back and do it again, little children. And he, then we have his girlfriend who made fun of my son for having an accident in the corner of our house. And actually, I'll show you that screenshot right now. So I said, as you can see, there's a little turd in the corner. And I said, wow, my son took human shit and put it in the corner. Come to find out that he said that he had an accident when she was babysitting him, because we'd have her come down. And the thing is, it's I sit here and I say, I don't like her as a person, and I don't like the things she's done. And I think, her personality is made up of everybody else, because it is. And technically all of us are made up of other people's personalities. We have our soul and we have our being, but, we're obviously viewing other people's opinions and things, and we make our own beliefs out of that. So technically we're all made up of each other. But I can sit here and say that. But at one time, she was my friend, or she was somebody who was involved in our lives, and the same with me to her. So when she goes on those websites and she says, oh, look what she said to me, she stole cat pills and she did this, it's why didn't you do something about it then? Do you know what I mean? If you were so disgusted with what my son having an accident and the way that I went about it, which was, people who know me personally know that I joke about the worst things, because I would rather laugh about something that I can't control than, be mad and angry and, piss myself and go crazy. My son had an accident in the corner, okay? There was poop in the back of a canvas. Like, we had our canvas, and then there was toys, like, in the corner, like, for storage. And my son went behind there and pooped on the floor because he was too scared to ask her to use the potty because he wasn't very familiar with her back then. She was a great babysitter to the kids and everything like that, but pretty much whenever we asked for anybody who wanted to know, we wanted to, them to stop their shit that went upstairs. She pushed her boyfriend down the stairs. He was drunk. He cracked his head off of the steps. There was, there is a ton of stuff. Like, I have so many audio. Like, they would have sex as loud as they could right above my son's room, actually. I'm not going to play that audio because that is her. Now, there were... And, we were just filming in our house. Like, it's not like we did anything illegal. And here's her, like, slamming the door as loud as she fucking can at, like, 7 a.m. Waking up my son, who has a mild form of autism. And then, after everything was said and done, we contacted the landlord. She just kind of went crazy. Here are messages from her boyfriend saying that she was doing all of this on purpose. She just wouldn't stop, and this was all because we asked our landlord nicely to have her calm down. So after all that happened, she started saying, like, she started taking photos of me outside my house. Here's a photo of me putting boxes in my car when I was moving, and her basically commenting above that she was basically saying that I look like a homeless piece of trash, when in reality she actually moved into the house that we moved into, or that we were living in. Like, she's living there now. So the address that she leaked where we were living is now where she's living. So anybody, hey, free game, right? But interestingly enough, I heard that she said some things like how filthy we were. There was some water damage on the floor near the bathroom, so my landlord reinstalled it because we had a mat there. So if you leave a mat on a floor, even if you Swiffer and stuff, like blue little spots and yellow spots and stuff will form on the ground. Like, where our washer and dryer was, the same thing happened. That's just linoleum floors for you. Anybody who has owned a house, or you live in a house like that, lift up the mat after so long, after a wet mat, it causes water damage. And what's interesting is, like, she said it to other people, and those people that she's talking to and things like that are talking to me. So the evidence that she has is really looking bad on her right now, like, for going through all of this trouble to, like, create a smear campaign, if you will, of me. She gets on a website that nobody, like, really takes seriously, other than to go on and gossip and things like that. And again, it can be very constructive, but like I said, when you go on there and you start calling people ugly, you start making fun of their children. Like, she got on there and she said this: she's like, I don't care, those kids were so fucking loud. It's like, she was also very aware of when she moved in there. And like I said, she went and caused all of these problems because I asked the landlord to calm down after all the times that her husband got drunk, fell down the stairs, after all the times that, he, did things, he self-harmed himself and there was blood all over the ground and things like that. And this is the stuff that I'm talking about. And I have, like I said, this evidence has to unfortunately go to court and go the legal route. But her, I am literally like shook, if the word is, because I'm just, like I said, letting her dig her own hole. She got on the gossip website. There's a person who's also from my town that talks to her that is like this animal rights activist. If you guys are familiar with what happened years ago, I'll put the link down below to that too. They're like sharing photos of my old Facebook. She shared my docket sheets recently, which is, please, ask me. Like, she would never, anytime that I would confront her after this too, because this was going on when we were living below them, like, she would never confront me to my face. Like, she was that much of a coward, because instead of sitting there, and it wasn't even like I wanted to fight or anything like that, it was, I wanted to say, hey, like, why can't we talk this out as people? Like, why can't we? Do you know what I mean? It was never about that. It was always, she ran away. Ran. I have so much video footage of our security cameras, and here's actually a security footage camera, which is completely public legal, of her boyfriend intentionally slamming, our room was right there where the windows are, and he slammed into the trash cans as hard as he could and kicked everything to make as much noise as possible to wake up my kids. So and you guys have seen the audios that of her slamming doors and turning music up as loud as she fucking could. And then I will also link below, what do you call it? The first part of the video and things like that. But that video is fake. That's not a real video, so. But, yeah, it's pretty much come down to that. This girl's gotten on. I will post, actually, all the screenshots after this and tell me what you think that she's doing on there. Do you think this is bullying, or do you think it's just her voicing her opinion? I mean, do you think it's okay to take pictures of somebody when they're outside of their house, like while they're upstairs, but yet when they come downstairs and come outside and I confront them, they won't do anything? Like, it just goes to show what type of person that is. Like, you can't talk face to face or man to man. And the personal people who are on those gossip websites, nobody who's from outside of it, you know what I mean? They would never confront me in person. They say they see me all the time. They tell me how ugly I look outside of outside of YouTube. Like, if you guys saw me, like, here, like the lighting and stuff like that. Like, hold on. I'll turn off the light even. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. Okay, never mind. But, like, of course I don't fucking look like this in person. I'm human. Of course I don't look very good without makeup on. I'm human. And like I said, when somebody doesn't have anything else to talk about except for slandering the way that they look, what they drive, making fun of my vehicle, making fun of the stickers I put on my car, putting me down for being in an open relationship, putting me down for my sexuality, trying to create conspiracies of how my children act, saying that I did things to my children that I absolutely did not, coming up with rumors, and, that is why, like, constantly you'll see people getting banned from there and that thread on that website. Like, if you go on there, they have yet to state one piece of evidence that actually could, say or prove the allegations that they've made. It's bullshit, I will always admit, I will always come clean with anything in my past that I've done. That's why I'm very open about my life. I'm very open about the person that I used to be. I'm very open about the person I am now. I will always be that person. But whenever they can't get a hold of rumors or proof of rumors of just personal accounts that nobody can really take for credit, it's bullshit. You'll notice that, the messages, she blurs out her message and stuff like that. But she blatantly gets on there and says that it's her. And that is why, unfortunately, like, some things have to be taken the legal route, you know. But that's okay. Let her dig her own hole. Many of you already know who she is in real life. The neighbors, when we moved out, they were all warned. Her boyfriend was poisoning the cats that live next door. The neighbors are very aware of that, and it's just very sad. It's sad. Like, the garbage they left outside the house all the time. They never took care of the house. Like, it was just, it was gross. Like, it was just a very bad experience. And you learned from that. And our landlords knew all about it, and they're great people. Like I said, we've actually all become closer because of the situation that happened there. And I feel horrible. Like, I really do. Like, it just, you don't go and bully somebody. You just don't. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm a petty person. Like, I do talk petty, I do talk shade. There's a lot of, it's natural life. Like, people have this in their lives. Maybe not as escalated, maybe not as dramatic, but people do have these problems. Like, it's whether we choose to make them public or not. And I'm here to make them public because I chose to share my life publicly, and this is it. So, I mean, like I said, you've seen the screenshots and the way that she talks about me. It's like, I made a video. It wasn't even a real video. It was bull. So let her dig her own grave. Legal routes are being taken. Other things are being taken, but it's just gross. And we're happy to be moved out. Our life right now is incredible. Like I said, I'm very, very, very grateful. Like, just to live this life right now. I'm very grateful to be where I am. And like I said, I could never be here without you. I could never, ever be here without you being the viewer, without you saying that I actually am doing something for your life positively. The self-esteem, especially somebody who grew up with very poor self-esteem, and I do have that. Like, the validation that I get is very, very positive for me because I'm the type of person who needs that validation. I'll be the first to admit that. I'm a very, what's the word? I love attention. Like, you know what I mean? Now, regarding negative attention, like, it depends on what that is. Like I said, when it comes to bullying, it's like, nobody wants to be bullied. Nobody wants to be the neighbor that used to live above me. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to ever be a person like that, or the people from my town who say that they know me so well, but yet they can't provide any form of proof, especially with the animal thing that happened years ago. There was no physical proof. Like, I explained in that video down below that you can see about the sick cat that we had and the dog that bit me and things like that. But then they took it, people who never liked me in the first place from my past as being an addict, turned it into a smear campaign saying that, I was this or I was that. And it's like, someday, if you can get like a video or something, you know what I mean? It's whenever somebody actually has proof to something that they're like, oh, you know what I mean? She is this person, like, look what she actually did. But whenever you're just like grasping for things like my neighbor did upstairs and stuff like that, going through the messages, because we never even had that much direct contact, but yet she went through all of those Facebook messages, like, just, I helped her out so much, gave her rides to work, even when I didn't want to, like, even whenever it wasn't convenient for our family. I helped this girl out so much, but she got so angry as a child, because that's what people do when they're very angry. They act out and they snap and they start bullying and they grasp at the things they can't. So anybody who's being bullied in school, take an example from my neighbor. She's just a person who's very sad inside. Like, she can't find, that validation from like her fiance or someone else. So she needs to go on gossip websites and find the validation from others that she's right, when in reality, nothing she has or says, especially the way that I've ever talked to her, and I didn't. I confronted her one time, and or twice, I'm sorry. And those times she wouldn't look me in the eye. And it's like, what does that say about that person? You know what I mean? They don't want trouble, like, but yet they're going online and starting trouble. And so basically, I'm going to basically have this situation taken care of. So that is an update on my life. That's pretty much any of the drama that's been going on. Is just basically the neighbor upstairs. Nothing's really been the way that it used to be in the past. Drama was so bad back when, and I'd like to obviously blame it on myself, but the amount of methadone I was on that was clouding my decisions, very, very bad. all of our lives have drama in it. We all have negative experiences and positive experiences, and it's the way we choose to handle them. Maybe the way that I choose to handle my situations aren't something that other people would agree with. And then again, maybe your ways of handling decisions aren't something that I would agree with what you do. But that's what makes us all human. There's a difference between opinion and there's a difference between bullying. And whenever it gets down to bullying and making fun of somebody's looks or somebody's weight or somebody's children who have, autism or, maybe a disability, when you make fun of that, when you make fun of a child's hair, the way that they look, you know that those people aren't credible. You know that they're not people you could talk to in real life. And if they are, and that's their little secret, and that's why they go behind the usernames that they would never come out with in person or say their real name, if that's why in real life these people would never confront me because number one, they don't have the balls. Number two, it's gross. You know what I mean? Like, it's disgusting. It's something you don't want to take an example of. Yes, actually, take an example from these websites. Read the words, find what you believe is truth, see the proof that is said that is had, and make your decision from that. Don't go off of people who, don't go off of their credibility when they're making fun of looks. Don't go off of their credibility when they're, calling somebody ugly or they're taking pictures of their car. And those are the people you don't want working for you. Those are the people that they're not trustworthy. They're not credible. And those people who go on those gossip websites, if you know these people, chances are in real life, they're going to do the same to you. They're going to talk about you. They're going to put you down and they're going to do the same thing to you behind your back. That is why she doesn't have many friends. And the, people that she does have friends do the exact same thing. They're all very known in my town and it's just very gross. So I really hope that this update video, obviously that is why I saved the dramatic part for the end. Just a little chit chat to hear what's going on in my life. I hope if you did learn something, let me know down below. I like to explain, again, my bad decisions in life. I like to talk about the things that have happened to me and be honest and say, hey, these are the things that happened. Like, these are what you can learn of. Don't make the mistakes that I did. Don't end up where I was. Don't end up where I am. Like, if it's not something you agree or disagree with. We all have our own opinion and we all have our idea of what's right and what's wrong. And as a collective, we can decide what's right and what's wrong. And the 7 or 8 people, on websites like that who choose to slander me and put me down compared to the giant fucking family that we have here, it's like, who's really credible here? You know what I mean? So I hope that, sufficed again. And I hope you learned something. I hope that you listen to this video when putting on makeup or just like driving or something like that, because this wasn't an ASMR video. So I love you guys. I love you guys with all of my person. Thank you again for being able to let me do this. Thank you so very much for letting me make this into a career. Thank you for letting me make this into a positive experience for myself, something I can wake up to and read the positive experiences that, you've said that I've been able to help with. You'll never know, as somebody who came from such bad experiences to this because of you. I would not be here today because of you. I would not have made the changes in my life if it weren't for your help. Thank you. Thank you so much if you're watching this. I mean it with all of my fucking person. Everything. I swear on my children's lives of how much you guys have helped my life and how much of a positive change you've made for my life. And that is why I continue to do ASMR. That is why I whisper and tap, 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 and hopefully help you fall asleep. So I love you guys with all of my person. I'll see you tomorrow.